Oh, dommage, c'est ça. Il a eu parti comme une merde. Mais parce qu'il a eu ça, c'est des gars qui sont plus bad. Est-ce que t'as des autres footballistiques? Non, ça, mon gars, s'il a pas bougé, ça veut dire qu'il est tellement fort qu'il s'est trop bien passé. Fallait qu'il tienne plus dans la voie. Même pas fouiller dedans. Assistance. Ok, l'autre sont tous départables. What the fuck, c'est qui le numéro 20? Mais what the fuck, le numéro 20, c'est quoi ça? Non, en deux, on dirait un daron là. Moi, c'est qui le daron? Moi, c'est qui le daron? Pour moi, si York il gagne, c'est Ouais, non, c'est un commentateur. Ah non, non, c'est un ref. C'est un arbitre, c'est une tenue. C'est un arbitre. Ah, le mec de la première fois. Back! Oh my God! Look at that!
And we're back for our second last match of the night here between York Academy, the U18 team, and FC Laval, wearing the purple. York United's wearing the white and green. It's still 0-0 in the 8th minute here as we close out our third day of the 2023 Rising Tides. I'm here with Scott Squires.
What a day it's turned out to be. I know this is my first day here, but that last game that we saw, the Maritime Super Series Women's Championship, just a thrilling affair right down to the end. 4-3 Suburban taking the inaugural championship. And I was mentioned to you off camera, of the 4 Suburban goals, 2 of them were penalty kick markers. So just a great game and a great way to wrap up the women's portion of that Super Series. And now we've got the men's game later on.
Awesome. It's been an exciting games here today. We haven't had any 0-0 draws, which is what the people want to see. So hopefully that continues with this York versus Laval matchup. As Laval tidy in possession here in the purple. York United had a thrilling match yesterday with against the Wanderers Academy that was sealed by a Yorgos Gavas goal from a lovely finish with his left foot into the top corner. The new Wanderers signing, showing exactly why he was signed by the first team.
Some tremendous talent on display, no question about it. And it's great, you know, for fans to be able to get a look at these young up-and-coming players that are going to play in the CPL, and certainly for the Halifax Wanderers, but also potentially one day playing for some Atlantic University sport teams, collegiate teams here in the region. So always great to see, to get a sneak peek, I guess, at some of the up-and-coming talent, and there's been plenty of it.
Definitely. No. Speaking to a few of the recruiters here, they're happy to have so much talent in one spot here for them to look at, and they haven't let anybody down here so far this weekend. Malik Driss gets the ball back in play here for Laval. Looking for his teammate there, Emmerich Joseph. Has a chance to go one-on-one with his defender. The ref judges that a foul, though a soft one. Brandon Verberg, the York number 7, had a great game yesterday with the flashy boots there, and look to see more from him today.
It's always interesting when you watch any soccer match to see just how much or little the referee is going to insert themselves into the game, whether it's going to be kind of a free-flowing, lots of contact game, or if you're going to see, you know, a lot of things get called. And you know, how long does it kind of take to get a feel as a player for what kind of game it's going to be from an officiating standpoint?
I'd say, honestly, you know, within the first 5 to 10 minutes usually, and it's been varying ref by ref each match so far. And we saw in our last match that the ref Simon there was letting everything go, really, for the first 10, 15 minutes, and then once the fouls started to accumulate, he started to hand out yellow cards and discipline the players once he had given them kind of their 10-minute grace period. But it does vary by ref and even by game, to be honest.
One thing I've always found interesting with rugby is the lead official is typically mic'd up, and you can hear a lot of their conversation, and you hear a lot of the conversation with the referee and the players in rugby. Do you ever think that would work in soccer, to have the ref mic'd up and to be able to hear the conversation, maybe for fans to get a little more insight as to what's going on and why the referee's calling certain things?
Definitely. I think it's needed, especially you even look at the English Premier League in the last year where they've introduced VAR, but a lot of times they'll get called over to look at a penalty or something, and there's times where they don't get called over and you're wondering, why is that the case? So it'd be great to have them mic'd up so you kind of, as fans and coaches, everybody understands how they come to their decisions. And rugby does a really great job of it. The whole process is really transparent, and everyone in the stadium's able to hear the referees, and there's no arguments from the players. The fans are all aware of what's happening, and it makes for a much better atmosphere and gameplay.
Yeah, I think that's the key word, transparency, for sure. The fans seem to enjoy it as we see York on the attack here.
Yeah, I'm surprised to see the York number 20 there, who got a red card in yesterday's match playing. But I guess with it being a short tournament here, they're not upholding anybody from playing any matches after receiving a red card. As we see the number 14 from York, Mohamed Shukran, trying to get in behind. His teammate does well to wriggle through and get the shot off. But great save from the Laval keeper.
Now that's probably the best chance for either side so far as we play into the 14th minute. Laval again, you see them, they'll just go back to the keeper, and you see that quite often. If a team is feeling a little bit under pressure, they'll go back to the keeper, just kind of reset, and then try to work the ball forward on the offense and try to get a through ball there. Now, you mentioned the number 20 for York. I actually don't have him on the game sheet that we were handed today, so perhaps they were thinking that he would. Let's see. Let me see. You got him on yours? You're telling me, now you're being nice and quiet, you're telling me that they gave me the wrong game sheet. Is that what you're telling me? They're just trying to mess with my head. That's how you really test someone that's on a mic, is you give them the wrong game sheet with the wrong players.
Yeah, I just realized myself as I said that number, and it didn't match up with the number I had yesterday. I was like, wait a second. So I just updated my sheets here myself. So
do we even know what city we're in? Where are we? What's happening right now?
Nobody's perfect. Not the refs, not the commentators, not the players. But
I have two exes who would say the exact same thing. Nobody's perfect. You're right. So we're into the 15th minute, still 0-0. Just that one big chance, really, just a couple of seconds ago. But other than that, there hasn't really been a whole lot of offensive opportunities, at least to this point.
Fair enough. And so to clear that up, that was Mohamed Shukran who had that shot with the number 19 from York Academy. Lots of changes, and on the coaching staff as well, it is hard for them to continue to update these lineups because there's been injuries, there's been players who've been getting trials with teams, so lots of moving parts in sports, but we're doing our best to keep up to date here with the rosters and the players' numbers.
Oh, most definitely. That's why it's good to have someone like you that I can lean on. You pick me up.
The buddy system is key.
You're right. Whether you're swimming or on the mic for a soccer game.
More so the latter for me. I don't swim. Oh, good strike through a crowd of bodies there by the Laval player, and it falls, but the number 14 on Laval there was hoping that he would get a pass. That's Emmerich Joseph, but his teammate went for goal and unable to get through the bodies in front of the box there.
Some of my favorite parts of covering tournaments like this, where you get teams from away that travel with family and friends, is the reaction of some of the parents and the family when there's a big play or a big moment. You see them jumping up and the oohs and the ahs. And you almost have as much fun watching some of the reaction from the fans as you do watching the action on the field.
Oh, definitely. And back to my playing days, I enjoyed it a lot more when my family and friends would come to watch. There was that added motivation to put in a good performance, and for me specifically, my dad in the crowd would always be egging me on to shoot, dribble, and it gave me that extra adrenaline.
Yeah, that always adds a nice extra layer for sure. Well, we're still scoreless here, 16:34 and counting into this opening half. As you mentioned off the top, the second last game here today.
Good hold-up play from the York player, and as we talked about the ref, he's blowing that one to set the standards early that those fouls are not allowed. We got a new captain today for York in the number 10, it looks like, with Matteo Ligori. Yesterday it was the number 20 who got the red card, Cole Savage. Cole Savage on the ball here. A really deceptive player. Despite his size, he's very quick and has a good burst of speed.
Well, I was going to say, many would refer to this game as football, and certainly number 20 in the white and green looks like he could play the other kind of football. He's got kind of that linebacker's build.
Definitely, but he's caught the strikers by surprise with his change of pace, so definitely a deceptive player. Confident on the ball, but when you mention football, he doesn't shy away from a tackle. He definitely loves it, and he got himself in trouble yesterday with the red card, but by being a little too eager. Robbie Augustin plays the ball forward to his teammate. Connects well with Ivan Yazid. Ball into the box, and there's the number 20, Cole Savage, who clears the danger.
Yeah, just showing a good ability to read that ball in and then just calmly head it away, and big contact right in front of us.
And that's Chadney Bishara with the foul, and the referee says that's enough. It turned out to be a beautiful day here today. When I woke up, it was pouring rain and lightning and thunder, and it's like they say in Halifax, if you don't like the weather, wait 10 minutes.
Well, when I initially left this morning, I was in a small canoe, but I was able to park that and then get into my car to come the rest of the way here to Wickwire Field. And I'm hoping that the weather has evened out as much in Moncton as it has here. And the reason I say that is my daughter and her friend are currently at the stadium at the Université de Moncton for the Carrie Underwood Guns N' Roses concert. So I hope the rain is holding off up there.
Fingers crossed.
So it'll be a goal kick here for Laval. Still looking for our first goal in this opening half.
That's a long boot from the goalie there from Laval. Instant offense with a kick like that.
And you saw two of the players on opposing teams kind of like a pinball machine as the ball went from one forehead to the other in quick fashion.
And Mohamed Chakran gets the ball under play there. Brandon Verberger tries to find his number 10 and does well to try to cut back, but that's cleared. Brandon Bergberg, the number 7, and the number 19 here as well. Mohamed Chakran both had outstanding games yesterday against Halifax Wanderers Academy. Looking to pick up where they left off. And there's Brandon Verberg on the ball now. Cole Savage with the appropriate name, as we said yesterday, with the red card. But he'll be looking to get that behind him and put in a good performance as York look to get their first win of the tournament.
So some good pressure the last few minutes by York United. Kind of had Laval on the back foot a little bit. But again, still nothing to show on the scoreboard as of yet. And it's always interesting when you see like either the backfield or midfielders try to time up that long ball forward to connect with one of the forwards or a striker. And it's almost like, again, to reference the other kind of football, it's almost like that timing sometimes that you have to have between a quarterback and a receiver when the receiver is running a route. Sometimes the quarterback is throwing the ball and waiting for the receiver to run onto it. Quite often you see the same thing here. Whoever's putting that long ball forward kind of has to time up when they think their teammate is going to run into that space. It's always really interesting to watch.
Definitely, and I mean, added layer in soccer where there's the offside line as well that you have to be wary of. And every player on the field really is the quarterback when they're trying to distribute.
Something that the casual soccer fan has wondered about, and they've asked me about it several times over my career, is when there's some kind of contact or something happens on the field and you will see the player raise their hand. Why are they doing that? What are they signaling?
It could be a number of reasons, Scott. It could be they're asking for a foul from the referee. It could be that they're looking to their teammates to see if they support their decision. There's a number of reasons depending on the situation, but usually they're asking for a foul from the ref or a card from the ref.
In the NBA, they just go over and get right in the ref's face and complain straight up.
We've seen a lot of that here today, actually, too. So,
well, it's interesting. Listen, a player that has a foul called against them never thinks that they committed a foul. But we had a moment in that previous game, the Women's Maritime Super Series final between the Winslow Charlottetown Royals and Suburban FC. The eventual game-winning goal was scored on a penalty kick, and it was Chengwei who fouled Longley in the box. And I asked in the post-game interview, I said, did you think initially that it was a foul and you were going to the spot? And she said, I wasn't sure. So because when it happened, the defender Chengwei on Charlotte immediately kind of threw her head back and threw her arms out saying, come on, that wasn't really a call. So it was interesting at that moment that, game on the line, the referee, are they going to call the foul? Are they going to call the penalty kick? Or are they just going to let the play go on?
Yeah, it's always interesting as Nathaniel Boudwood battles here with the Laval player, loses out. I personally, it's funny we say that. I was known for arguing with the ref a lot in my playing days, and only in the last few years, as I've matured, have I stopped giving the ref such a hard time. But it's frustrating sometimes when you think you were fouled, and sometimes the ref sees it, sometimes they don't, to their credit. But as a player, you always want to get those fouls that can lead to good set pieces, which is where most goals are scored in soccer. Really, I think they say around 60 to 70% of goals are scored from either corners, free kicks, or penalties.
Yeah, most definitely about it. And again, we saw a perfect example of that in that Maritime Super Series women's game where 2 of the 4 suburban goals came on penalty calls in the area that resulted in penalty kicks, and both were successful.
Yeah, Laval carrying the ball forward here. A couple nice little tricks there by the Laval player, and then he hurdles the Mohamed Shakroun as he tries to slide tackle him. Another great clearance there by Cole Savage.
Yeah, Savage, just a tower of strength on the back line and in the middle for this York squad.
And right on cue with another clearance. This is a good matchup here so far. Both teams really still trying to feel each other out and see where they can create some space, but very physical, and the ref seems to be up to par, though, because the thing as a player is you want the ref to understand that certain games mean a little bit more, and you can see there that the ref let the play go because both players were being physical. It wasn't one or the other, both of them, so he just decided that there was a no call there, which is really important.
Yeah, it was interesting as well when the 2 players were going down. The Laval player gave a little cheeky little tug of the jersey to make sure his opponent went down with him.
Exactly, and I think that's why there was no foul given.
Number changes.
FC Laval substitution entering the game. Number 13, Malik Nolet Berthelot. Leaving the game.
Yeah, that's
number
one I got.
7, Othman Chidari.
So substitution here for Laval.
Laval gave it to me yesterday.
13 in, 7 out. So Nolet Berthelot in and Kadari out for Laval.
Unlucky there by the York number 2, Nathaniel Boudwood, who tries to find his number 10 and captain, but wasn't facing the ball, and it hits the back of him. Good pressure here from Nicholas Durham.
And just to kind of pick up on what you were saying a moment ago, it really is kind of like a prize fight where you see two skilled, talented boxers kind of going a couple of rounds, you know, throwing a few jabs, kind of seeing what the other guy's going or the other boxer's going to do. And you kind of get that sense right now that both these teams like, oh, what are we going to face here? What do they got to offer up? How are they going to defend us? How do we defend them? It really kind of has that feel right now.
Definitely, and I love these battles, honestly, and then there's the other side of it, the coaching, where both coaches will be looking to make tactical changes, whether it's a formation change or personnel to bring a player in who might be able to unlock the other team. But so far, both teams even. As Malik leaves the ball for his teammate, Emmerich Joseph. Throws it right at his teammate, but it wasn't intended for him. It was meant to go in behind, but couldn't go through them there.
It can be hazardous out there.
Brandon Verberg on the ball. Skillful player. Hits a nice diagonal ball to his teammate, who takes a great first touch, cuts back, lays it off to his teammate, Noah Ferreira. Matisse Delva carries the ball away before laying it back to his teammate, plays a 1-2 before another turnover. We haven't seen more than 4 passes put together, at least since I've been here, and that just shows you how evenly matched these two teams are.
Yeah, there's been a lot of kind of back and forth play, right? You know, probably 20, 25 yards either side of midfield. There hasn't been a whole lot of deep penetration into either side of the pitch from either Laval or York.
Mm-hmm. I see we have 2 Maliks on the FC Laval team as well. They're number 11 Malik Driss and number 13 Malik Nolet Berthala. And to make things even harder, they play right beside each other. So you will hear me say Malik, and we have 2 of them. That's a handball there by the number 10, and most likely a yellow card because it looked very obvious that he tried to block that ball with his hand.
Yeah, words were barely out of your mouth, and the referee was reaching into his pocket there to book the player.
They'll want to be careful the rest of the way, especially considering yesterday their team did have a red card that didn't cost the team the game. They were already down 1-0 at that point, but didn't help them try to get back in the match. Chance here from Malik Driss, the number 11, to try to get the ball into the box. An interesting lineup, though, by Laval, really spreading their attackers across the front line. You usually see them all try to kind of gather in one area, but Laval spread them all across the front line there. Interesting.
Still a bit of a delay here still. So it looks like York is going to do a substitution here.
Yeah, number 14, Nicholas Durham, checks out. Number 16, Julian Dellenberg checks out. And we have 2 new players coming in. Number 19. Oh, that one is for Laval. What is this? Number 6 checks in for York. That's Jonathan Szymanski. And the other is number 11, Zion Peters, with a great name.
Number 6, Jonathan Szymanski.
So the substitution's kind of coming fast and furious in this one. Now, you know, is that a case of the coaches trying to change momentum to maybe get a little, you know, different look out there? Or is it, you know, maybe a case of, hey, we've got a large roster, let's circulate some of these players in and out?
I'd accredit it to 3 things. Today we have their second game being played by York in as many days, two games in 2 days. We also have a lot of scouts here who are trying to look at different players. So as you mentioned, large roster, so coaches will try to be fair to everybody to get them a chance to be looked at. And then the third, I mentioned a little bit earlier, that coaches will make tactical changes by bringing in different players to try to give the other team a different look that they're not prepared for.
So into the 32nd minute, still looking for our first goal between FC Laval and York United. And really, there's only been that one kind of stunning chance to this point. Other than that, it's kind of been what we've talking about, just really, 25 yards either side of midfield, just kind of back and forth, feeling each other out.
Definitely, but as you see here, Zion Peters straight into the action as he comes on and wins a free kick for his team. He looked really sharp yesterday, and I think you'll see him give that Laval backline a lot of trouble. The number 11 with the long hair. Brandon Verberg puts that right into the hands of the keeper, unfortunately, but I wouldn't be surprised if a free kick or a corner ends up being the decider in this match. It seems like it's one of those matches that's destined for a 1-0 finish.
Stark contrast to the couple of other games we've had here. We've had a couple of 4-3 games today.
We have. It's been an exciting day for the fans here at Dalhousie Wickwire Field.
You know, as a former player yourself, who played in the Premier League in Nova Scotia as well as playing for Acadia.
I did not play
you did
for
not
Acadia.
play for. I'm sorry. I was thinking of the player that I interviewed earlier at Longley. She's playing for Acadia. I had Amit Batra on my mind.
Right, but ironically, Amit Batra was my first coach when I first moved to Nova Scotia. He coached me at Scotia. I moved here when I was 11 in 2001 from New Brunswick after being originally from Kenya, but Amit Batra was my first coach, and I still have a really good relationship with him, and we go out for lunch every couple months or whatever. But no, I played for Suburban in the Premiership as well as UDFC, and I played for the Nova Scotia Canada Games team in the 2005 Canada Summer Games, as well as the U13, 14, 15, 16 provincial team. So it's safe to say that football is life, as Ted Lasso says.
Right, and what made me think of the Acadia angle is because I've talked to some other players, and a couple of them are going to Acadia, but the comment that they've made is how important it is for them to have events like this locally in the Maritimes to be able to showcase their talent. Back when you were first playing the game and coming up through, what would it have meant to have an event like this for you to be able to showcase and to play with other high-level players like that?
Oh, it would have meant the world. Like, I'll be honest myself, I had ambitions when I was at that age to try to push myself as far as I could to try to get to a professional setup. But, you know, all we really had was the provincial team and the Canada Games team. And I was in one of the luckier groups that when I was U14 provincial team, we got to go to the All-Stars to test ourselves against all the other provinces. But our coaches also organized a preseason trip down to Maine, and we were able to play against some Olympic developmental teams in the U.S. But other than that, that was it for us. We didn't have any national tournaments with clubs where we got to test each other and have scouts to come look at us, which is the bigger opportunity that these guys have here. And the other element is video. A lot of these tournaments are on video, and they're able to send those videos to scouts who don't have to physically be here, you know, so they can send those to agents and people not just in the province but in the country, but all over the world. So these players have way more opportunities than my age group did coming up, and to say that I'm jealous is an understatement, but it's great to see for the development of football in the province, in the country, and ultimately the men's national program will be the ones that benefit the most. And we've already seen with the last World Cup that Canada now is ready to compete at that next level, and it's important to have tournaments like this so that it's not a one-off, and we're able to continually be in those World Cups and challenging the top nations in the world. So really important.
It's great to see, and it is so important, as you say, for the grassroots growth of the game. As Laval now on the attack.
As much as we've talked about the ref letting the ball play there, I think that was a penalty. Number 11 on Laval, Malik Driss did well to wriggle away from the defender who got none of the ball, and I think that should have been a penalty. But it's a tough job being a ref. Everyone's a critic.
Well, you may hear the displeasure coming from the fans of Laval just to our left, as they were very vocal in thinking that there should have been a call there just moments ago.
Yep, and I tend to agree with them. But like I said, I think the toughest job here in in this entire pitch is the one with the ref, because they don't have access to VAR, they don't have video replays, they have to go with what they see, and That's all they got. So right or wrong, he made the call that he thought was right and has to live by it. Lots of fouls though in this match.
Yeah, I was going to say, anyone who may not know soccer very well and say that it's not a physical sport, I would respectfully suggest you come out to a pitch and watch a game live, because sometimes what you're seeing on camera, which is directly showing the ball carrier and what's happening, there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the play as well that's got a lot of physicality involved. It is a physical game.
Very much so. And on that note, Cole Savage, the number 20, gets into the box, who's really good in the air as Brandon Verberg delivers this ball low. And would have wanted that one back, especially with Cole Savage going up there. Probably should have got that into the air to give him a chance to get that on target.
When I was a kid and I used to play soccer out in the backyard with my brothers, if I had kicked a ball like that low along the ground, scripping off the grass, they would have said, "Scott, you just kicked a worm raker."
I've never heard that term. That's a first for me.
Skidding along the ground, pulling all the worms up.
It makes sense.
They wanted me to see me get a little air under the ball and you know, get a little height on it. And more often than not, when you're 5 and 6, you're just lucky to get a foot onto it. So when they go along the ground, they said, Scott, a worm raker. What are you doing?
What was your best sport, Scott?
Most definitely baseball and football.
Okay.
The American/CFL style of football.
Literally the only two sports I've never really cared to try.
and actually, baseball was probably my favorite and the one I was best at. I was a pitcher and I played left field.
Okay. And I played only 2 football games in high school, and my Canada Game soccer coach found out and had a talking to with my football coach. So didn't last very long.
Enough of that.
And I appreciate it, because in my later stages here, I've gotten very injury prone, so I understand the need for coaches to protect the players and their careers.
Wait till you get my age and your bones become like peanut brittle. You break something just getting up.
Number 13, Malik Nolet Bertholet again wriggles through and tries to get in behind the York backline, but well done by the York defense to stop the chance.
Yeah, into the 39th minute now, still no score, and I've referenced them a couple of times, but I wish we could almost get a point of view camera and a mic over to our left with those Laval fans. They are having a time now.
They really are, and they have a few teams in this tournament, so it's great to see the parents and family supporting. And great ball in behind there. What a tackle by the number 6 from York there, Jonathan Szymanski, who just came on a few minutes ago, and unbelievable tackle to stop the chance there by the number 21 from Laval, Amin Hossein, who was through on goal if were it not for that tackle.
Yeah, that's a beautifully timed slide for sure. Good timing there on the York keeper to come out between 2 Laval attackers to grab that ball and to clear it away.
He's looking for Matteo Liguri, the number 10 here, who's trying to get the ball in play as quickly as he can. He's looking for his teammate Mohamed Shukran, but well defended. But he's back on the ball again here. Tries to square it, but just behind or in front the 2 teammates he was looking for there. I don't think I've still counted 5 passes in a row by either team in this match.
No, you're absolutely right. And again, just the Laval keeper showing a good leg.
This is a tough match to ref, honestly. Like of all the matches I've watched so far, there's been a lot of physicality between these 2 teams.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think I've lost track of how many players off tackles have been taken down to the turf.
Exactly, and that's why I think you're going to see a lot more subs in the second half, because both teams taking a lot of abuse from each other. But number 11 here, Malik Driss, looks to get this ball into the area, and this time they do bunch a little closer to that far post area. And that's a good delivery into the box, well cleared. He gets a second chance at it, goes for goal, and just leans back a bit too much. And
but just the hand-eye coordination to be able to step into that as Dristas did, and then take it off the bounce and then lean into it with the side foot to put it toward goal. Just tremendous athleticism.
Definitely. It's all about reps, and I'm sure he's done it hundreds and hundreds of times. But that one, he did lean back just a little bit. Probably wanted to let the ball drop just a little bit more, but that's when you're open to those tackles that we've been seeing a lot of. Well done by Cole Savage to get the ball out of danger there. Brandon Verberg sprays it out wide to the number 2, Nathaniel Budimit, who carries it forward. Zion Peters battling but loses out as Emmerich Josephs looks to get in behind, but is stopped momentarily as it looks like that's it for the half, and 0-0 between Laval and York. A very, very close match with lots of fouls, lots of free kicks, and very even match here so far.
Yeah, for sure. I think to your point, we're going to see some heavy substitutions in the second. And now both coaches and coaching staffs have 10 minutes to make some adjustments and maybe change things up. So it should make for an entertaining second half.
Definitely. What I'd like to see is both teams just slow down the tempo just a little bit. You know, right now everything's 100 miles an hour. Nobody's having any time to breathe. And I think whichever team kind of is able to get their composure, slow the play, draw the other team into them, and just really take advantage, try to make more than 4 or 5 passes in a row, they will be the ones that take advantage of this match.
Yeah, so again, as a former player yourself, a lot of times you hear, fans say you don't really make adjustments at the half. So I want to ask you about that later on. Can coaches actually make a difference with adjustments at the half? But we'll talk about that a little later on. We're going to step aside, take a break. 0-0, Laval U17, York United U17. We'll be back.
Nova Scotia, Canada's ocean playground. And on the water, sand, grass, and rocks, play is exactly what we do. For us, play is a way of life. Any way we can find it. We skate the ice, sail the waters, we run the land. We love to play. Yeah, we're pretty good at it too.
Canada's best now.
So when we gather at the same place Nova Scotians have gathered for decades, we aren't just watching a game. We're celebrating our spirit for sport. We are the Halifax Wanderers, playing on the rugged landscape that shapes us. This is our home, and this is our team. Let's go.
It is often thought that glory is a matter of fate. But the truth is, no one was born a hero. It's an everyday journey. There are no shortcuts, no perfect scenarios, no days off. Things won't always go the way you expect. Sometimes you may ask yourself, why me? Why now? But overcoming challenges is part of the game too. It doesn't matter how strong your rival is or how hard the game gets. Doesn't matter if all eyes are on you or if nobody's watching. And if you're forced to improvise, show everyone there are no limits to what you can do. In that moment, nothing else matters. Your time is now. When passion runs through you, become your own hero.
At Dalhousie University, ocean expertise flows directly into the blue economy. We're advancing clean tech and digital solutions and shaping tomorrow's workforce. We're turning today's challenges in medicine and healthcare into tomorrow's opportunities. And through our community partnerships, we support discovery and inclusion that make a real difference. This is Dalhousie University, where local collaboration meets global impact.
Marvin O'Kello and Scott Squires here picking up for the second half of the 2023 Rising Tides tournament matchup here between the Laval U17 team and the York United Academy, which is a U18 team. As I was just telling Scott here, the York United team, I was speaking to one of the players' parents there, number 6, Jonathan Szymanski, who made a great tackle in the first half. These players only played together for the first time yesterday when they played against the Halifax Wanderers team in a really great display against the Wanderers, narrowly losing out 1-0.
That's remarkable when you think about, a technical game like soccer where there's, so many things you have to be aware of on the field, whether it's on offense, defense, marking players, whatever. But sometimes when you have highly skilled, highly talented players, you can put them together and sometimes you'll see within 5 or 10 minutes, all of a sudden they're gelling, and it's like they've played together all year.
Definitely, and that's what it means to play at the next level. You see the players that go for the hundreds of millions, the Mbappes and the Ronaldos and the Messis of the world. It doesn't matter who you put around them. When they have that high IQ and technical ability, they'll thrive regardless. As we see the number 19 from York, Mohamed Shakroun, with a shot that just deflects off the Laval wall, which takes a sting off the ball, which allows the keeper to make the easy save.
So we were talking about it just before we stepped aside at the end of the first half, and talking about coaching staffs and coaches making adjustments at the half. As a player, when you would go into a half, what kind of messages could a we'll finish that after this. We'll let this play run out here.
As number 19, Mohamed Shakroun, looks to cross in the ball, but well sniffed out by the keeper.
But what kind of adjustments or what kind of things can a coach say to a team that can actually make a difference in the second half? Because some fans will say, there's no way you can make adjustments. The game plan is the game plan.
So, a couple things. Right off the bat, we've seen that there's been a personnel change for York Academy. Nolan Mazai comes in, the number 5. And so before you, I guess after you change the personnel, you'll give instructions to your players. Like, actually, I said right before the half that they're going to want to try to settle down, slow the tempo of the game a little bit, try to connect 4 or 5 passes, allow everyone on the field to get touches, which will give them that confidence to then be able to have that a few less errors, a few less turnovers, and that usually is what you're trying to tell your players at halftime. And there might be a formation change, whether you're going from a 4-4-2 to a 4-3-3, just to try to expose what you've learned in the first half from the other team. But it's usually a combination of tactical advice and also just things about like rhythm. So the first half we saw was very high paced and both teams trying to go 100 miles an hour. So coaches will be asking the players, slow down the game a bit. You don't have to go forward every single chance you get. Try to give the other team a different look by doing things like that.
We almost had a big chance there from Malik Driss, the number 11, for the purple-clad Laval side. And I was talking to a couple of the parents from players on this Laval side, and they said this is only the second year that this team has been playing at the AAA level. So it's quite exciting for the players and for the parents and family as well to see this second-year team at the AAA level having this kind of success at a national tournament.
Definitely. And traditionally the 2 provinces that have the most soccer talent are Ontario and Quebec. A lot of that has to do with population. And then Ontario even more so because the National Soccer Center and Training Center is in Ontario. So a lot of players get, I wouldn't say favoritism, but they get more looks because it's just right in the backyard. Zion Peters battles here. Nora Ferrer plays a 1-2 and a fancy back heel there from Mohamed Shakroun, who's trying to get his teammate in behind. Zion Peters again on the ball.
See the field lights at Wickwire Field are on now and starting to take a little more effect on the field as the sun starts to set.
Yeah, personally, as a player, I always love playing under the lights. It's just a different type of atmosphere and almost reminds you of those like Champions League nights you watch on TV with European teams, and just a bit of a different atmosphere and feel to the game.
Yeah, there definitely is. It's a different vibe, it's funny, you wouldn't think it would, but going from a sunlight or a daylight feel to the field to darkness and the field lights taking effect, it isn't. I'm the same. whether it's soccer, baseball, etc., I've always been a huge fan of nighttime games under the lights. It's just something, maybe I'm romanticizing sports a little bit, but I always enjoyed that very much.
I definitely agree. As we see, both teams have come out with almost the same tempo. Early on for the first minute, it seemed like they slowed it down, but the adrenaline's kicked in and both teams are flying at 100 miles an hour again.
Into the 46th minute, still 0-0 in this one between York and Laval.
Cole Savage spreads the ball as the number 5 who just came in tries to get in behind, but that's well stopped there by the Laval number 16. Tony Hanna. Zion Peters is fouled there by Nathaniel Budamit. It's actually fouled there by Yvan Yazid, the number 2 from Laval.
So a free kick opportunity here now.
Nolan Mazai will want to get this into the far post. The substitute has a lot of targets in that back post, and like I mentioned, this is the traditional setup there when you have a free kick. You have everyone line up on the far post, try to get a numerical advantage, and then win the ball. A push there by the York number 4, Raif Ahmed, and the ref gives a foul there. A chance for the players to take a breather and slow things down just a little bit. And again, I would really like to see one or both teams slow down the game a bit and just take a bit more control of the ball and value possession just a bit more, because both teams turning the ball over far too much. And it's hard. It's honestly, games like this are really tough for scouts because you're not really getting to see their technical ability, because every 2 seconds there's a turnover, and it doesn't allow any one player to shine. So if they can slow things down a little bit and just be a bit more composed, it'll really allow their skills to shine through.
And quite often in hockey, and certainly the last few years, you'll hear analysts talk about time and space. You'll hear players talk about the importance of taking away time and space from your opponent. I think we could use that analogy here today, because whoever has the ball on their foot, the defenders are taking away time and space really, really quickly. Super aggressive on the ball carrier, really challenging, and quite often it becomes like a 2v1 situation. So I think it would be frustrating if I were an offensive player right now just trying to break through that.
Definitely. These are the games defenders love. You know, lots of tackles flying in, lots of long balls being played in. There's getting lots of chances to be involved in the action because, as I said, you know, slowing down the game is great for the attackers, but the defenders love this type of game.
So the keeper now for Laval readies, and he's shown the ability to get these goal kicks quite often on the other side of midfield, more often when he's dropping it and kicking it from the air. But again, he's shown to have that good leg.
It looks like one of the Laval players just stepped off the field there, who's being subbed off. Don't know if it's cramping or if he's just run his course, but number 18 for Laval comes in, Santiago Trillo, and number 16 steps out, Tony Hanna. Looks like he's really feeling the effects of a lot of challenges there over the course of the game.
You see Laval coming in on the attack. And again, to use another hockey analogy, when you're watching especially a playoff game where it's tied and it gets late, you start talking about perhaps one mistake being the difference. I'm wondering if that's going to be the case here.
I completely think so. This game is going to be decided by either a mistake or a moment of brilliance. Sometimes both happen in the same play.
And to your point, you know, even though these are young people with lots of stamina and lots of cardio, when you've played multiple games over a couple of days and it's been hot and it's been warm, you get in the late stages of the second half of multiple games, it's just human instinct or human normal human reaction that you're just going to get tired. You're going to cramp. You're not going to have that extra zip in your step.
Yep, and we actually heard it in the previous match where one of the players from Kodiak, the goal scorer, Hunter De La Hunt, after scoring, he yelled over at the crowd and said, "I'm not in the best shape here, guys." And he got subbed soon after. But it's a tough to play at fast-paced games like this, and you're playing back-to-back days. And yesterday was really hot, and some players deal with that better than others. Myself, coming from Kenya, I loved the hot games. But then on the opposite end, those cold games, I struggled. My bones would ache, and I couldn't get myself up to the speed as quickly as I could in those sunny, hot days.
Well, the other thing as well, just the normal wear and tear of playing a full soccer match, multiple over a couple of days. This particular game has been physical, so it's going to take a physical toll as well. So that's where I wonder if those factors, the physical toll, the just overall physical tiredness, could lead to that mistake that could lead to, as you said, that moment of brilliance on the offense.
As Cole Savage gets stripped here by Laval, looks for the cutback, and lacking the quality again there, as I've said a few times. But yeah, you're absolutely right, Scott, that in a game like this, you're going to make a lot more subs than usual because guys are getting hit a lot. They're taking a lot more damage than they normally would in a game. So it's important that as coaches you protect your players and you get lots of substitutions in. And in a tournament like this, there's, I believe, unlimited subs. So you want to take advantage of that and keep things fresh. It often makes a difference.
Every time I go to Subway, I always hope that there's unlimited subs, but it hasn't happened yet. And we see a Laval player slow to get up off the field there. That's number 11, Malik Driss. Well, I think Driss has played exceptionally well for Laval today.
He has, and we'd like to thank event sponsor Subway and Dalhousie University for providing a great venue and supplying us with some food over the weekend as well.
So this is from distance, but still a dangerous area for this free kick.
Now we're starting to see Laval get the numbers into the back post there, but it's a poor delivery, but ends up on the foot of the York player, or the Laval player, sorry, at the top of the box. That was Yavan Yazid, who had a chance to get the shot off, but couldn't quite connect. The crowd not happy with the offside call there, but it looked like he just straight offside as the ball was put back into behind the York back line.
Into the 53rd minute now, and just a reminder that this game is 40-minute halves, so we'll be looking at full time at 80 minutes, and then, of course, whatever added time the referee tacks on.
And if we're still tied, straight to pens. I hated pens as a player, honestly, and even though I was the penalty taker for my team for most of my playing career, it's just you never wanted to be in a game that was decided by penalties. And especially back in the day when there used to be the golden goal, even before penalties, where you'd go to extra time and the first one to score, the game would be over. That's actually how our Nova Scotia team lost in Canada Games in 2005 to New Brunswick after beating them 3 times in exhibitions leading up to the Canada Games. We lost in golden goal after leading 1-0 much of the match, and they scored one late, and then 2 minutes into the extra time they scored, and it was all over.
You've just got bad memories of those. But for you, what was I asked the last game, the player of the match, I asked the same thing. What's your mindset when you're stepping up to the spot, getting ready to take the kick? For you, what was yours?
For me, I hit the same spot every single time. I knew that if I could hit it into that side netting on the left corner, especially as a right-footed shooter, the goalie had no chance. So if I hit the ball as pure as I can and I hit the side netting, it doesn't matter what goalie it is, they're not saving it. And coaches will often tell you that. The worst thing you can do as a penalty taker is change your mind. So if you see the goalie leaning to the right and you're like, okay, I'm going to switch it instead of going, one side, that's often what goalies are trying to do to throw you off. So you got to just stick with where you're normally used to shooting, hit your spot, and that's all you can do.
We'll see if Rafe Ahmed can hit his spot here. This is well out, but again, just a set-piece free kick. Never know what can happen.
Rafe Ahmed with a great delivery into the back post, but none of his teammates really gambling in behind. So I guess the question is, was it a good ball or not?
Yeah, and it's getting into the late stages of this second half where it could even happen with more senior players, but at this level, U17, you start to wonder if each player individually say to themselves, I don't want to be the one to make a mistake here, so I don't want to take any chances.
Yep.
You know, is that potentially a mindset that can sink in?
Oh, definitely. As we get closer to the end of the match, you'll see both teams just looking to clear the ball into the other team's half and not be the ones to make that mistake that costs them the 3 points. So the later you go, the more cautious you'll see a lot of players be, but that's when the best players actually usually shine. They're willing to still be brave and still make those brave decisions. He's way outside of his box there. The goalkeeper losing his bearings completely and stepping outside and handballing it. That's a free kick that if Laval could play quick, they could take advantage of it, but heads up play by the number 20 there, York, Cole Savage, who steps just in front of the ball and doesn't allow the quick free kick, but
and we talked about it, but I think that was a direct result of the length that the keeper for Laval was able to put on that ball, and all of a sudden it kind of caused the keeper, as you said, to kind of lose his bearings just because of the distance off that goal kick.
Definitely, and another factor which I really, it's tough in North America to deal with that they don't have in Europe is the football lines on the field, so that sometimes can throw you off as a player, and we'll look to see if Laval can take advantage of this. Tries to go low, and not really the right idea there when there's so many bodies on the line. Sometimes if you can at least get it off the ground, it can go off a defender, a striker, and throw the goalie off, but not the greatest free kick there, unfortunately.
Yeah, but again, just to go back to that sequence, it was that really long goal kick that put pressure immediately on the York keeper, which basically caused him, as you said, to lose his bearings, and it resulted in a dangerous free kick that, if you're a York fan, luckily didn't go in the back of the goal.
Yep, it's something the recruiters will look for in a goalie. A long kick is a huge asset, which does two things. It allows your team to get out of pressure, so if one of the defenders lays it back and he's able to have a boot that clears into the other half, it relieves your team of pressure. But the other, as you just saw there, is it can be instant offense. If he's got a long boot like that that's able to skip over the defenders and give your strikers, if they're pacey and able to get in behind, chances to score.
Number 14, Nicolas Durand. Leading the game, Noah Ferreira. Number 7, Brendan Berberg. Player out, Mohamed Charkoun.
I like this player, number 14, who's coming back into the match, Nicholas Durham. He's always looking to dribble and take on players, and I wouldn't be surprised if he was one of the ones to change this match.
Well, you get those late stage substitutions coming in. They're energized. They want to be the hero. They've got the fresh legs, so a lot of times you'll see those late game subs be the difference makers.
Definitely.
We'll certainly keep an eye on that player for York, and number 14, Nicholas Durham.
Definitely, and there's been players who have known for making a career out of coming off the bench and scoring. There's guys like the former Manchester United coach Ole Solskjaer, who was known as a super sub, and it's a strange thing to me because everyone obviously wants to be a starter, but somebody who can be humble enough to understand that there is value in coming off the bench when defenders and other players are tired, and if you can take advantage of that with your pace and your strength, sometimes it makes the difference. But it's very rare because most players want to start. They want to play 90 minutes, and usually it's very humble players who are able to understand that coming off the bench is a role that is needed on certain teams.
Here's that man, Cole Savage. He's certainly afforded himself well this afternoon playing for York.
Another dangerous ball into the box. Good pressure from the three Laval players here as the York players force back. Looked like there could have been a foul there, but again, the ref deciding to let the boys play in this second half with less than 20 minutes left in the match.
We just saw a nifty little move there by number 20 for Laval, Nicholas Abu-Rajali. He was one of two players that at the half I had a chance to talk to their dads.
Santiago Trillo here with just not enough pace to get in behind there, but that's a good look from the Laval defender, trying to find him just over the top, but just slightly overhit by Rafael Campo, unable to find his teammate who had loads of space in behind.
A good contingent of fans on hand here as we see some of the Suburban FC representatives, including Ollie Hewish, just walking by our broadcast position here.
Yep, and beside him there is Felix Hopp, one of the assistant coaches and Wanderers season ticket holder. And speaking of the Wanderers, we have a match on Monday at 3 p.m. in a natal day clash between Pacific FC, who's in a top 4 position, and if Wanderers are able to get 3 points and their 6th home win in a row, they would jump up into the top 3. Really great season so far for the Wanderers. If you haven't been able to catch a match this year, I highly recommend that you check it out, because the team is firing on all cylinders this year, despite 16 changes and a new head coach in Patrice Geiser and assistant coach Jordan Feliciano. They've really hit the ground running this year, and the games are always a lot of fun, and this year also very competitive.
Come on, you Wanderers. Big free kick moment here now.
Brandon Verberg tries to go with the outside of the foot. And Cole Savage, once again, appropriately named.
My goodness. And Savage taking the running back down for a 3-yard loss. That was, my goodness. Wow.
Sometimes, honestly, it's a tactical thing. Once you see that the other team's about to break on the other end, you make the foul and you force them to slow things down, allow your teammate to get back into position. So, honestly, a smart play there by Cole Savage, seeing the danger for Laval on the break.
And again, we'll see what develops out of this, but except for a couple of moments in this entire match so far, the majority of the play has been within about a 50-yard box from the midfield stripe either side, 25 yards either side. The majority of the play has been in that kind of area of the field.
Yep. They call that the neutral third. There's a defensive third, a neutral third, and an offensive third, and much of the game being played in that middle third of the pitch. And that's why I'd really like to see one of the teams slow things down, try to have more than 5 passes in a row, which I've been keeping track of, and we still haven't reached 5 passes in a row through this entire game. So I think the first team who's able to do that, there's only less than 17 minutes left, will take the advantage in this match.
So another free kick opportunity here for Laval.
Good ball into the box there by Laval, and well cleared again by Cole Savage.
Yeah, he's been a tower for York, no doubt about it. But it's interesting you talk about the more than 5 passes in a row. Suburban FC, both on the men's and women's side, typically put on a clinic in that type of strategy. Sometimes 8, 9, 10 passes, and a lot of them just quick 2-3 footers.
Mm-hmm. And there's a fine balance between the two, because there was a period there between 2010 and 2018 where actually it was 2006 to 2012 where Spain dominated with a tiki-taka style. They won the Euros, World Cup and Euros, all 3 in a row, and it was that possession-based football that they were able to dominate through. But you have to have the technical players to be able to accomplish it. Otherwise, there's teams who will let you possess the ball and then take it, pressing you in the attacking third, and they're already near goal. So there is a fine balance. Suburban does do a good job of coaching their players to be technical and lots of passes, but there's a fine balance between passing for the sake of it and passing to get in behind. That's a number 13 for York. Stopped by Laval number 5 with a brilliant tackle. Rafael Campo there. Great tackle. And again, we still haven't seen 5 passes in a row. I don't know if we'll see it before the match is over. And as I say it, we only make it to another 2 passes.
Okay, so I'll do the count. There's 1, 2, 3. Oh, this is 4.
No.
And
doesn't seem like it's going to happen today, folks.
And is that, to the best of your eye, is that a result of the age and potential, skill level in terms of learning the game, or has the flow of the game kind of dictated that?
Yeah, I think it's a ladder there, Scott. Both teams going 100 miles an hour, and that's why I really think it's important that one of the teams decides to just slow the pace down. And what happens usually, if you can possess the ball moves faster than anybody. So if you can start stringing some passes together, get the other team chasing, you can tire out the other team, which usually leads to tired legs, and you're able to get in behind and take advantage as you let the ball do the work. And that's the kind of things that coaches will be saying at halftime to their players. Great bit of skill there.
I got a roar from the fans.
Good try there from the number 13 from Laval, Malik Nolet Bertholet, but unable to find that top right corner he was looking for as he leans back, but well pressured by the other team, and that's why there's been so many unforced errors here in this match, because both teams are pressing really well. And they're able to do so because the coaches are making lots of subs throughout the match.
Wonder now as well, as we get late in a 0-0 score, if perhaps we'll see some more long-distance strikes toward the goal, just to see that, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right?
Definitely. We saw Yorgos Gavas, the new Wanderer signing, who's playing with the under-18 academy, score a goal on a free kick against this York academy when actually it wasn't against York, it was against Kodiak. He just got the shot on target and it slipped underneath the goalie. So you're absolutely right that you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, and sometimes just getting it on target is enough.
Suburban FC men's team walking past us here. They're getting ready for their championship matchup later on tonight.
Taking on the Fredericton Pickeroons, which that's the team that I actually used to play for when I was back in Fredericton in New Brunswick. So I played for both Suburban and Fredericton. At the time, they used to be called FDSA, but they've since rebranded to Fredericton Pickeroons, and same with Suburban. It used to be called Scotia Olympics, and a bit of a rebrand now under Jesse Burgeons and Ollie Hewish to Suburban FC. But I was on that first ever team that Suburban had, and with Masut Mert and a very talented core of guys that we were able to get to nationals in 2011. There's actually one of my old teammates, Ian Greedy, number 16, who was on that team.
Into the 68th minute, zeros still on the board between Laval U17 and the York United side. And as you were saying earlier, if we're still even at the end of regulation at full time and then added time, straight into the penalty kicks.
Definitely. Brandon Verberg with another set piece chance here. The last one he tried to go with the outside of the right foot. Wasn't the right idea there. Much better delivery this time, but well defended by Laval. Both teams have been coached to high press and not allow the other to breathe on the ball, and that's what's led to this high number of turnovers in this match. Ball just out of bounds there.
And I doubt that there's anybody tracking the statistic, but shots on goal or shots directed toward goal, I would say the combined total for both teams probably lower than 6.
Attempted or
both
combined? No, I'd say we'd have more than that, because in the first half, I'd say we had 6 from each team, at least from what I saw. A lot didn't make the target, so I think the number on target's very low. But we'll see if somebody can make the difference by getting a shot on target that maybe the goalie's not able to get to, or as we saw earlier there, the Laval keeper coming out of his box. And
I don't know. I just get the sense that there's going to be some bizarre sequence that's going to lead to a goal.
Oh, let's see if you're right here, as Laval gets in behind and looks for the far corner. And I thought the ref might call that back after he initially called the advantage, but a lot of times if you get the shot off, they don't go back and give the free kick. But good attempt there by Laval. But again, as you said, off target, so another one to add to the tally.
Well, and again, as I just sit here kind of, we'll see what happens with this one.
Good look there by number 6 there from York, Jonathan Szymanski, whose father I was speaking to earlier, and great young player there. Oh, and then the substitute, number 14, Nicholas Durham, tries to get in behind, but the Laval backline doing a great job of stopping every York attack, and same with on the other side.
Yeah, just to finish, I thought I was going to say that while we've talked about so much of the play being in that neutral third middle part of the field, the last few minutes it seems that Laval a little bit has York kind of on the back foot. Not a lot, but just a little.
Definitely, and they're just skipping that midfield line, to your point, where there's been a lot of back and forth and just going over the top to try to get in behind, and it looks like they've pushed a few numbers up, which sometimes works, but sometimes can leave you exposed on the other side. So we'll see if the gamble pays off by Laval here as they look to commit a few more numbers forward.
Now, unofficially, less than 10 minutes to play. That'll take us to 80 minutes of full time, but of course, the referee undoubtedly will add some added time in there. Yeah, at the half, it was, you mentioned a couple of the parents that you spoke with. I did have a chance to speak to the father of Nicholas Abu Rajali, number 20 for Laval, as well as the dad for Chandi Bashara Damas, number 67 for Laval. And they were just, both having a great time, really enjoying their stay in Halifax and enjoying the soccer. So it's great to see. And I hate to mention the big old P word, but after a couple of years of the pandemic and no tournaments and no travel and all of that, to be able to see tournaments like this and to look up and down and to see family and friends and players from other provinces, other cities, it feels good.
It feels really good, honestly, and I'll be the first to tell you that the pandemic was depressing, for a lot of people. I myself am a very social person, so I like events like this, getting out and chatting with people and just being around people. So the pandemic was absolutely horrible, and I hope we never have to go through anything like that again.
Hear, hear. Not a whole lot of time left in this one.
Yeah, this is whether you become either a hero or a zero in these late moments. Looks like York's going to try to get one more sub in, and that's number 13, Emmanuel Boudamois, who's coming out. And also the number 5 there, Nolan Mazai, is coming out. The number 10 is back in, Matteo Ligori, who was on a yellow card, which might have been a big part of the reason why the coach took him off. But now it's in the later stages. You got to throw the kitchen sink at him, and number 10 is a creative player who might be able to make the difference, and he immediately takes the armband after stepping back on the field.
I was going to say, keep an eye on 10.
Straight into the action, right on cue. And he's going to look to get in behind here with his pace. Great tackle by Laval number 18, Santiago Trullo, not just to stop the attack, but also to win the ball. Brilliant, and that's the kind of stuff that recruiters want to see from defenders, the bravery to get down and tackle, but also the quality to actually win the ball.
Textbook tackle, and it certainly got a big reaction from the Laval fans.
100%. There's a saying in soccer, when in doubt, kick it out, and you see that there from the York number 18, just clearing the danger and giving his team a chance to breathe. That's Agon Kakonyi with the clearance there.
Now into minute 75. As time now certainly becoming a factor for both of these teams.
You see a number of players hunched over because this has been a rough and physical game, and they're all really feeling it. I think I can count 7 players who have all grabbing their knees right now, just trying to enjoy this breather.
There will be icy hot patches for everyone after this one, you would think.
Definitely, and in the modern game, a lot of people be doing ice baths after games. Or the cold plunge, as they're sometimes called. Oh, good flick in behind there. Oh, that is, again, I think that is a penalty there. The number 13 did well to get himself between the ball and the defender. That's Malik Nolet Bertholet. And the York defender got none of the ball, all of the man. And in my opinion, that also should have been a penalty.
I think every single Laval player on the pitch raised their arms simultaneously when that happened.
Yeah, and it's tough though as a ref because you don't want to make a decision that decides the game, but there was no ball one there, and I think that should have been given as a penalty.
And now the referee going over, having a quick discussion with the Laval bench, it looks like, with the coaching staff perhaps.
Yeah, the York defender can count his blessings there.
Well, I've made a couple of hockey references to give some context or to make points. May as well do another one. You hear all the time in late stages of games that are tied that the referee will put his whistle or her whistle in their pocket and not want to decide the game. Mm-hmm. Is that kind of a similar thing happen here?
Definitely. Refs do not want to be deciding the game by either giving a penalty or a red card late on. So they do as best as they can. And you're seeing it there again because that was a dangerous foul. And it should have been given not just as a foul, but a yellow card, as you see the number 18, Agon Kakoni, rolling on the ground. I'd like to see the ref actually punish some of these tackles because that was a dangerous play.
Yeah, now Kakoni still down, and one of his teammates, Ligori, waving over for the athletic staff to come over and take a close look.
There was another tackle that he won none of the ball. He showed his studs and really should have been punished with a yellow card, and I think that's what the York player is saying now. Where's the card? He won none of the ball. What's going on?
The other thing, too, and again, we've talked about how difficult it is to referee any sport, but certainly soccer.
Mm-hmm.
But where the tone was set early on to, quote-unquote, let them play, do you think that perhaps has led to an increase in some of these tackles that we're seeing?
Definitely, and that's the worry as a ref when you start off by letting everything go. You've set the standard, and if you change it, that's when players and coaches alike get frustrated because what you want from a ref as a player and a coach is consistency, so the first 10 minutes to 20 minutes of a match really dictates the rest of the match. So refs have to be assertive to either punish those fouls, whether it's studs up tackles or whatnot, to set the tone and allow the players to understand this is how I'm going to be officiating today.
Yeah, because I'm going back over in my memory as much as I can recall a lot of different soccer matches that I've called play-by-play for at this type of level, at a showcase level, at a university collegiate level, and at a pro level. And I don't recall seeing as many hard tackles with players being taken down to the ground that I've in one game as I've seen here. Yeah,
I mean, obviously both these teams recognize that there's lots of scouts here, and as we see the Laval number 18 getting across in behind and almost finds a teammate on the back end there, but no, it's really important that that refs understand that they have a responsibility to set the tempo and be transparent with how they're going to be officiating in the first 15 to 20 minutes of the match, so that the players understand that this is my style of reffing and I'm not going to change it. Because if you change, that's when players get frustrated. Great ball in behind here for York, and it's caught back to the number 14. Tries to strike it, but that's Nicholas Durham, who came on, I thought might make the difference in this match, and he's unlucky that shot is blocked. Mohamed Chakran tries to win the ball again here.
The pace certainly has picked up here in the last couple of minutes for sure.
Ethan DeLunge plays it to number 67 there, Chadney Bakara.
Well, we're into the 80th minute, so we'll see once we hit full time. We'll try to peek across and see how much added time is going to be added on.
And we see a goalkeeper change here, and I'm assuming this is getting ready for penalties by York, because there are some keepers who are penalty specialists.
Yeah, certainly an interesting move. Just adding to the layers of intrigue in this one.
York with a good chance here to carry the ball forward. The number 10 on the back post, getting in behind, but the ball unable to get to him, as we see we're still unable to get 5 passes in a row here, and that is the final whistle, and we see our first 0-0 match of the day. And unfortunately we do get those dreaded penalties, but the fans love it. And
yeah, so I'm not sure if there's something with this level where there's no added time. I was waiting for the digital board to show 1 minute, 2 minute, but to your point, soon as it went full time on the field clock, whistle blew, and as you said, into penalties now. So
I think a lot of it actually is because this morning the games had to be shortened to try to catch up to the schedule because of the weather. So to make sure that they're remaining on schedule, they're not adding any extra time so that they're able to maintain the schedule of the games, especially with the Super Series game coming up here at 9 o'clock, and we're getting close to that time at 8:50. So I think they're just trying to keep things moving along, but great for the fans here. They'll get to see another penalty shootout, the 3rd of the day, and we'll see who can make the difference.
So I'm going to step off headset for a moment, go down and have a quick word with the coaches for our upcoming game. So you've got to ride penalty shot solo.
Good luck,
You're
Scott.
riding solo. You're riding solo. I'm sure the viewers of the live stream thrilled that I once again worked in a song, even if it's a second. All right, be back with you in just a bit.
Sounds good. See you soon, Scott.
I'll see how close I get to the net, and then
Okay, I'll call you if there's an issue.
We're getting ready for penalties here between Laval and York after a goalless draw. 80 minutes. First we have number 19 from Laval, Mathis Delva. And he shoots it into the top right corner. So Laval scores the first penalty with a well-taken shot there by Mathis Delva. 1-0, and we have the number 14 from York, Nicholas Durham, stepping up to take this. Lots of fans there adding to the atmosphere. Great penalty there by Nicholas Durham. So 1-1, both penalties converted, same side. It can be a long, lonely walk up to that penalty spot, especially when you know what's on the line with scouts here, family here, friends here. Nobody would want to be the first to miss or have the shot saved by the keeper. As I mentioned to Scott, you really want to just pick your spot, hit it, and great save by the keeper from York there, who came in as a late substitute in the 78th minute, and clearly a penalty specialist as he makes the first save, which gives York the advantage. Brilliant save by the York keeper. As he motions to his penalty taker, Kama. Brandon Verberg steps up, who's had 2 great games in the last 2 days. Number 7 steps up, and he's calm and collected with a great finish into the right-hand side. All 3 that have gone in the right side. The one person who shot left was unfortunate to have it saved by the keeper. The York, Brandon Verberg shushes the Laval fans. They'll want to hope that they win after that, because he'll hear it from the fans if York don't end up winning the match. Now it's number 18, Santiago Trullo. Steps up, and he's lucky that the keeper didn't get more on it there, but both shots that have gone left have been not quite as well struck. Steps up and is able to send the goalie the wrong way, and a scissor kick after into the net, and he also shushes the Laval fans. A lot of attitude with the York players here, but you love to see it. But again, it can go wrong. They're going to want to hope that they win, because they will hear it from the crowd if their team don't end up winning. Great entertainment for the fans, though. York takes the 3-2 lead. The Laval number 5, Rafael Campo, steps up. York goalie already has 1 save, very active on the line there. And another brilliant save by the York goalie, who clearly is a penalty kick specialist, coming in late and making 2 saves. Making a name for himself, and the scouts will be taking notes as he's come in late, made 2 brilliant saves, and if the York number 4 here is able to score this, it could be lights out for Laval. Great finish into the roof of the net by the York number 4, Rafe Ahmed, and he wins it for York, and they're able to go over and celebrate with their fans, and after hushing the Laval players and fans and family, they're celebrating over there with their parents and other teams. And what an exciting end to this match by York and Laval, as we see York United win in penalties 4-2. 2 brilliant saves by the York goalie, who came on late. Substitute to clearly what the coaches knew what they were doing, bringing him on, and he makes 2 big saves and ultimately is the decider. And I suspect he will most likely be the man of the match, but stay tuned to find out here, folks.
AAA Laval to line up, please, for player of the game. Very difficult decision, gentlemen, for players of the game. We decided to go with actually 2 players from each team based on performances. From FC Laval, number 3, Robbie Augustine.
And after an exciting penalty shootout, we have 2 players of the match from each team.
From York United, number 20.
York, we have number 20, Cole Savage, the defender who's stopped everything coming at him. And number 19, Mohamed Shakroun. I'm surprised not to see the York goalie as one of the players in the match with 2 brilliant saves to win the game for them, but one of those unfair things in soccer, unfortunately, is a lot more glory given to goal scorers than goalies and defenders who do the sometimes often dirty work. Just waiting to find out who the 2 Laval players in the match are. It looks like it's number 3, Robbie Augustine, and so we're gonna have the number 20, Cole Savage, for an interview as the player of the match, who's been in the thick of the action over the course of the 2 days, and really dominant display here today in a 0-0 match, which required all of his expertise in the air, on the ground. And so stay tuned here with an interview with player of the match from York, Cole Savage. Marvin O'Keller here from the Halifax Wanderers of the 2023 Rising Tides tournament. We just had a heavily contested match between York Academy and Laval, and I'm here with player of the match, Cole Savage, who living up to the name over the last couple of days with the red card yesterday, but really great performance here today. What did you think of that match?
It was a pretty heavy pace. We started off pretty slow, but I think in the second half we pushed it, and then we had to go to pens, but we won a pen, so it was a good game.
Awesome, and I asked you on the way over here who you mold your game after, and you said Virgil van Dijk. Why is that?
He's big. He likes to control the line, which I'm pretty loud when I play, and I like to control the line, and I obviously like to do a tackle, as you said.
Definitely, and I mentioned that I thought you were more like Pepe from Real Madrid after he mentioned that he's a Real Madrid fan. But what are you looking for as you go into your third match of the tournament tomorrow? Obviously, two very completely different games. First, yesterday against the Wanderers, which was very slow, and there was a lot of tactical build-up play from both teams. But what are you looking for now after you've had a penalty shootout here? What are you going to change going to the third match?
In the third match, I think we just need to start a lot faster, maybe get a couple goals or two, and then kind of just control the pace after that.
Definitely. And last question, what do you think about this Rising Tides tournament? What does it do for you in terms of scouting opportunities? What does it do for what you want to accomplish in the next steps of your soccer career?
Well, I've always wanted to go and play post-collegiate, so it really gives a lot of attention to the kids coming up, whether through CPL or through Laval or any other teams that's pretty big without getting a lot of exposure. So it gives a lot of opportunities to a lot of kids.
Awesome. Well played, and good luck with your future, as you've showed a lot of determination and skill there. So good luck with the rest of the tournament.
Thank you.
I'll grab your stuff here.